welcome to the Alchemy of Love podcast, where we explore how to weave sacred intimacy and sacred sexuality into your everyday life. We're having juicy, deep conversations. We're mapping out tools and techniques that are accessible and available to each and every human out there who is open to grow, open to learn, and open to heal. And we are so pumped to bring this information more out into the world to empower people, to help people to really dive deep into being alive, fully awake, fully alive, fully activated, and able to claim everything that is our birthright, which is our pleasure, our ability to be able to work with love for transformation and healing, and our ability to bring healing and to bring our dreams and our visions for a beautiful world into existence together. So we're super excited that you've tuned in today. And we're going to just start off here with a little bit of an introduction. I'm going to introduce myself. I'm going to give a little intro to my co-host who will be joining me in the next podcast. And I'll be mapping out a little bit of what you can expect when you tune into our show. So my name is Aeriel Colleen. I have been working in the field of sacred intimacy and sacred sexuality for over 15 years now. And my work has evolved and it is multifaceted. So I have done group work with people who are wanting to learn more about Tantra, which is actually a practice of transformation. It is a practice of spiritual development, and it uses our creative life force energy, our sacred sexual energy, in order to support that transformation. And I've been finding that more and more people are feeling that they want to explore this aspect of themselves and they want to reap the benefits of it in their lives. So I've, over the past few years, been doing a lot of group work, couples work, online training with women. Prior to that, I was doing a lot of one-on-one healing sessions with individuals and doing that full time. I've spent time dabbling in transformational music and done some deep dives into grief work and shadow work. And I actually started out really interested in mental health. And I was pursuing the path of becoming a social worker. I was really interested in children's mental health, and had a number of years of experience of working with kids. And it was my own healing crisis that showed me that I probably wasn't going to find what I was looking for my own healing within the systems that I was a part of at that time. And then as I explored what I needed for my own healing, it led to this incredible passion for these realms of sacred intimacy and sacred sexuality, which are so complex and so juicy in so many different ways. And when I say juicy, I don't just mean that it's so delicious because we're working with sexual energy. I am so interested in the shadow. I'm so interested in the journey of each soul that exists in this plane, in this planet called Earth. And I found that working with sacred sexuality allowed me to be able to go so deep into my own psyche, into the multi layers of who I am, and also allowed me to explore that with others. And I just felt at home. It's been an incredible ride, an incredible journey. And I think the thing I value the most is the level of connection that I'm able to access with my own self, my own soul, and with others. And so I love talking about this path. I love sharing information about this path. I love the continual journey that I go on and the deepening that continues in my own life. And I love co-creating with others who are passionate about this. So with that, I can share a little bit of information about my co-host, Faye Howell, who will be joining me in the next podcast episode. Faye is a dance ritualist. She is an incredible creative being who has had her own really deep journey connecting to the essence of what sacred intimacy and sacred sexuality are. And I'll leave some of that for her to share when she joins us and to talk a little bit about her past and her path. She's also been working in this world and sharing this medicine for a number of years and is passionate about community building, passionate about supporting the healing of trauma and helping women and groups to awaken to a zest for life and to their divine essence. And it's been really, really beautiful co-creating with her. We have been working on the Alchemy of Love app that has the Alchemy of the Goddess program in it, which is a really incredible program for women that goes through claiming your sacred voice, your sacred self, your sacred pleasure, your sacred grief, your sacred body. It really goes through so many different layers of feminine reclamation work. And she is so deeply passionate about it, as am I, and we've had great experiences journeying through that experience with other women so far and are super excited to share it. It's going to be coming out at the end of this month in the Google Play Store and Apple Store, and we just can't wait to share that with more people. In the meantime, we're excited to connect with you through this podcast, and today I'm just going to talk a little bit about how we can begin, how we can take our first steps on this path of sacred intimacy and sacred sexuality, because that's one of the questions I get from a lot of people who reach out that are interested in coaching or events or training programs. A lot of times people have a sense, even though they might not know much about what sacred sexuality or sacred intimacy or tantra are, they have a sense that there's something that they need on a soul level. There's something that they need in order to move forward in their life or on their healing journey from these pursuits. And they often ask me, well, where do I start? So how can I get started? What's this all about? And then I usually will jump on a call when I can with people and listen to a little bit of their story. And the first thing I'll have to say about where to start is that it's really individual for each person. So we are all so unique, so complex, so beautifully, beautifully complex, and we all have a story. And our story is where so much of our power resides. Most of us do not know how to hold all parts of ourselves. And there is a process in starting to be able to come home to self, in starting to be able to come home to our own bodies, in starting to work in new ways with our minds, to open our minds, to expand our minds, starting to be able to tap into our energetic field. And that looks so different for each person depending on what their journey has been. For some people, the starting point is going to be taking a moment to just connect with the breath. And if that is completely new, then that in and of itself will be a pretty deep dive. And that doesn't always get said enough. If you get into the spiritual world and the yogic world and all of these different avenues of pursuing spirituality, you may not always hear that any form of breath work, even if it's small, even if it's just learning a belly breath or just to breathe mindfully, can be hugely cathartic. And it can be a really deep and sometimes challenging step to take because it requires us to start to be with ourselves. I know about that one. That would have been me. I had such a disconnect from myself and my own body. I had a lot of trauma when I began this path. It was very hard for me to be with myself. Another starting point for a lot of people will be being seen. So there's an exercise, it's eye gazing. If you have some experience with Tantra, sacred intimacy, or sacred sexuality, then you have likely done some eye gazing. And hopefully it was something that rocked your soul, because it definitely has the potential to do that. And when eye gazing, and just looking into another person's eyes and really just being present with them, being present with yourself, essentially is what the exercise is. When it is done with consciousness and presence and love, it is transformative and transporting. It is so amazing to watch people experience that exercise for the first time. I've done that exercise with groups every time we do it with groups. And in most of my healing sessions, this would be something that I would include. And the way that a soul shows up, the layers of emotion, the layers of forgotten self or hidden self that show up in this exercise makes it so incredibly powerful. And also the fact that we're just being seen. We're just being witnessed. Nothing needs to happen. There's nothing to prove. There's nothing to say. There's no busyness of the mind that is required, but there is every opportunity to witness the mind. These exercises are forms of somatic healing, meaning that they can allow us to move what wants to move through our bodies, to experience what needs to be experienced through our bodies, and to receive healing and transformation through that process. As we start working consciously with our sacred sexual energy, these practices go to the next level. So our Kundalini energy is a sacred force that lives within us. It is considered to be like a snake that is coiled around the base of the spine, and that can awaken sometimes through crisis, maybe a trauma, maybe a death, maybe an illness, maybe just a sudden spiritual awakening of some kind. It can also be awakened consciously and carefully by starting to do exercises like those that you would find in Kundalini yoga or variations of them, where you are working with breath, you are working with actually contracting the PC muscle, which is connected with our sex center and connects down to our root, and allowing ourselves to really experience this lower part of the body and our lower energy centers. We have energy centers connected throughout our body. And starting to consciously move this energy up through the body. So this is the last piece I'll touch on in terms of where one might begin on this path. But for a lot of people, this is going to be another really key element, is starting to create a stronger connection to our lower chakras. Our lower chakras, let's talk about first the first chakra, which is our root, is really connected with a sense of survival and can be connected with the feeling of fear or shame. And if we have traumas, which pretty much all of us do, that we have not worked with or we don't know how to work with, there can be a lot held in this energy center. And likewise, there can be a lot held in this part of the body, and they tend to go hand in hand. So once we start working with our root, if we start practicing exercises like Sufi grind or pelvic tilts, or starting to awaken the base of the spine in other ways and connecting our breath to this part of the body, we can create a strong connection between our consciousness and between this energy center at the base of the spine and also these parts of the body. Also our sex center at the second chakra level, which would be connected with our lingam or our yoni, our womb space, hips, pelvis, lower abdomen. As we connect with these parts of the body, as we bring the breath down into these parts of the body and allow our presence, our love, our consciousness to go here, awaken the body in these areas, we're helping to create a strong connection. And as we do this, and it could be as simple as we're practicing a breathing exercise, we're contracting our PC muscle, we're working with certain subtle movements. But as we practice this, we give the opportunity for stored emotions, for even stored traumas, things that have happened in our past that are still living in us, to come to the surface, to be seen, to be witnessed, to be felt, to be held. And we come into more of a place of wholeness, and we come into a place of energetic balance, and we're able to allow our energy to move more strongly through our entire being. And this benefits us in so many ways. It also starts to teach us more about our creative life force and our sexual energy, that it's not something that is just connected to the act of romance or sharing sexuality with ourselves or another person in the way that we might think. It's so much more than that. It's a part of our anatomy. It's a part of what allows us to be fully alive, fully expressed, fully here in this life. And learning to work with it in meditative ways and in conscious ways and in healing ways changes us. It 100% changes us. And it's a really amazing, complex, beautiful journey. So that's a little introduction to, let's say, 3 different starting points for a lot of people. We could have just connecting with the breath and starting with some very beginner embodiment, which do not underestimate it. If you have not done that before, that is a big task, an incredible step to take in your life. Being seen, being witnessed, being able to be truly present with another, that is another incredible journey to take, incredible starting point, which is also multi-layered and brings so many different incredible blessings as it is explored. And then working with our sexual energy in a conscious way, starting to create a stronger connection to our lower chakras, to our root, to our sacral, and starting to be able to channel that energy in the ways that we wish to channel it, to use it for our healing, for our benefit, for our creativity. So much to explore on that topic, and we will absolutely dive into that further in coming episodes. So I hope this has been an interesting dive for you into the area of sacred sexuality and sacred intimacy. I hope I've answered a few questions you might have had when you began tuning in here. Maybe you had some questions, maybe you're curious. Hope I've piqued your interest, maybe gotten you a little excited about what could come if you continue along this path. And we'll be so excited to meet with you again and share more, and have Faye here to share some of her story. So tune in again. We'll be so excited to meet with you, and we hope you have a beautiful, blessed day. Bye for now.